Hey guys, today we're going to take some review notes on adding and subtracting fractions and decimals. So I'm going to use 2 pages for this. On the left page is going to be the fractions and on the right page is going to be the decimals. Now I'm not going to go into great detail because if you think about it, we took notes on both of these topics back in the beginning of the school year. So if you still have your composition notebooks from the beginning of the school year, that would be a place to go. And remember, you can always go to Khan Academy for some help. So let's talk about fractions. Now, the rules I'm going to talk about deal with specifically adding and subtracting. So when I add or subtract, we have some key things. We must have a common denominator. So that's the first thing. If the denominators are the same, there's nothing we can do. So once we get that common denominator, we're going to create fractions with the common denominator. I'm going to say denom, that equal the original fractions. And remember, we called these equivalent fractions because they have equal value to the original ones. Okay. Then when it comes to, we're ready to go, so we're going to add or subtract depending on what the sign tells us to do. The numerators only. Okay. And then very important that the denominator stays the same. And the last is going to be reduce, and that means to divide out a common factor. If necessary. Now, you do not need to change your answers to mixed numbers if they're improper, unless it's a word problem. So, only word problem answers. Word problem answers must be converted. Oh, made that one big word, huh? To mixed numbers. Okay, so that's kind of in a shell. So let's go do some practice. The directions are going to be simplify. And again, remember that's a generic set of directions. That means do all the math you can do until there's no more math to be done. So we're going to do just 3 little examples. So let's start with an adding one. So I have 4/5 plus 6/15. So I'm going to come up with a common denominator. Now the term we use is LCD, least common denominator. And that's got to be a number that both 5 and 15 can go into. So always test, can the smaller denominator go into the bigger number? If it can, then the bigger denominator is going to be that. So then I have to ask myself, what do I do to 5 to make it 15? So I would have to multiply it by 3. So I'm going to do that to top and bottom. So now my problem becomes, let's see, 4 times 3 is 12, 5 times 3 is 15. Then I add the numerators and I get 18/15. And then I need to ask, is there anything I can divide out? And yeah, actually stinky 3 hides out. So I'm going to divide out that 3, and that leaves me with 6/5. And I can leave my answer that way, or 5 goes into 6 once with 1 left over. So 1 and 1/5. That's my two choices. All right, let's do a subtraction problem. And we have 13/15, and I want to subtract from it 5/6. All right, so I need to come up with my least common denominator. And let's see, 6 doesn't go into 15, so I'm going to list multiples of 15. Let's see, how about 36? Oh, 6 goes into 30, so that's going to be it. So what do I need to do to 15 to make it 30? I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2. What do I do to 6 to make it 30? I multiply top and bottom by 5. So then that's going to give me 26/30 minus 25/30. And then I'm just going to subtract. So I want to go back and highlight. So the math is actually just going to get done in the numerator. So that's going to end up giving me 1/30. All right, and then I just want to throw in one mixed number problem. So I have 2 and 1/4, and I want to subtract from it 1 1/2. Okay, so the first thing I like to do with these problems is to rewrite it vertically. So first number, take away second number. Next, I'm going to, again, go through that process of coming up with the least common denominator. And since 2 goes into 4, 4 is going to be it. So this guy, I'm not going to have to change because his denominator is already going to be 4. So that's going to give me 2 and 1/4. But the guy on the bottom, I am going to multiply top and bottom of the fraction only by 2, because it's only the fraction I need to change. And that's going to give me 1 and 2/4. So then we run into a bit of a problem. I can't do 1 take away 2. So this is when we rename. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 whole away from the 2. I'm going to turn that 1 whole into a fraction that represents 1 whole that matches the denominator of the top fraction, or the one I'm trying to change, in this case the top one. And then that's going to change my problem into 1 and 5/4 take away 1 and 2/4. So then I do 5 take away 2 is 3. So now I'm going to circle that up. So it's really this guy being subtracted by this guy. So that's going to give me 3/4, and then the whole numbers cancel out and give me 0. So my answer is just 3/4. Okay, let's go to the other side and let's talk about decimals. So this side was our fractions, and the other side will be our decimals. So rules about decimals. So just kind of a couple basic things. We're going to rewrite problem vertically. We're going to line up decimal points. And what this does is it actually lines up place values. Forgot the word up. Lines up place value. Columns. If my numbers don't have the same digits after the decimal point, I can annex zeros. So the two numbers, or the two values, have the same number of digits. after the decimal point. Then this is the big one. Kids sometimes wait on this and then they get messed up. We're going to bring down the decimal point into the answer. And then do the math. Okay, so let's do a couple of those. I'm not going to do too many. So simplify. So let's see, we're on number 4 now. So let's have 35 and 251 thousandths plus 4 and 5 tenths. So I'm going to rewrite the problem vertically. So I start with the first one always. He's going to go on top. Then I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to line him up using the decimal point as the guide. Now notice how the top number has more digits than the bottom number, so I'm just going to put in those, annex those zeros so that it makes the math easier. So then I bring down the decimal point and then I do the math. 1 plus 0 is 1. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. 4 plus 5 is 9. And 3 plus nothing is 3. So my answer is 39 and 751 thousandths. Phew! All right, let's just do one subtraction problem. Let's do 12.16, so 12 and 16 hundredths. And I want to subtract from that 6 and 2,541 ten thousandths. Okay, so we start always, first number is written on top, and then I'm going to line up the second one using the decimal point as the guide. Now this is the real problem, is my numbers don't have the same amount of digits. If I don't do this, then people just tend to bring down the 4 and the 1. Bad idea. So you got to annex those zeros so the numbers are the same length. And then put in my decimal point, and then I can't do 0, take away 1, so I'm going to borrow. We're going to rename, but I don't have anything there, so I'm going to have to go all the way over to, let me get a different color. The 6, I'm going to take 1 away, which leaves me with 5. That now makes the 0 a 10, but I need to rename from him, so I'm going to take 1 away. That leaves me a 9, and then I have a 10 over there. So now I'm ready to do the math. So 10 take away 1 is 9. 9 take away 4 is 5. 5 take away 5 is 0. Now I'm going to have to rename again. So I'm going to take 1 away from this 2, bring it over here, so now he becomes 11. 11 take away 2 is 9. And now this problem really is 11, take away 6 is 5. And there you have it. So with these notes, you should be ready for the review on Thursday. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.